Greetings, everyone. It is becoming clearer every day that in our communities, South Africans in their majority, they want every person who resides in their communities to be documented. Because if a person is undocumented, it is difficult to trace them when they commit a crime. In 2010, the Documentation in Zimbabwe project afforded an opportunity for Zimbabweans who were undocumented to be documented. 12 years later, their fingerprints are in the system. It is easy to trace all of them who applied for special permit in 2020, renewed in 2014 and 2017. In 2014, the people of Lesotho had an opportunity also to be documented. Their fingerprints are in the system. So all of us in the communities who are worried that if a person is undocumented and a person commits crime, one able to trace the person. We also recall what happened in Krugersdorp when women were raped. Those individuals, up to this day, they were not caught. We are now told that those that were arrested are not linked to that crime. They are now being charged for violating immigration laws. We were in deep sleuth, and the message from the community was clear that every migrant must be documented. So all of us must then begin to ask, and we now believe that some opportunistically convened marches not represented the mass of the people in our communities. They did put pressure on government not to renew the Zimbabwe exemption permits. But what is clear in our communities now is that it is much, much safer to have documented people in communities than to have undocumented people. Yes, the state has promised to arrest those that are not documented. And we do not want to question whether the state has such a capacity or not. But what is clear is that there are so many people in communities that are undocumented, and that communities are backing criminality. So if a ZEP holder, if a South African or any other migrant documented, they commit crime, it's easy to trace them. So we think it is important, therefore, for the South African government to review its position, not to renew ZEP. Because the ZEP, whether they are renewed or will not be renewed, it will not have an impact in the upcoming 2024 general elections. Because the fear was, if ZEP is renewed, people are going to dump the African National Congress. But it's becoming more clearer each and every day that the loss of the ANC in key metros was not as a result of documents given to migrants, particularly Zimbabweans. It is becoming more clearer every day that the issue is about crime. And we had said, when the announcement was made, that according to the research done by or sponsored by ENCA, people in communities clearly spoke out against the crime. They did not say, do not document migrants. They said the problem is that you have undocumented migrants in communities, which makes it difficult to trace them. It is different from saying we will reject the ANC in the polls because it gave special permits to Zimbabweans. No. We are backing ESCOM challenges, which has caused massive job losers. And the COSATU Congress was very clear that workers must not be divided. Because when we have migrants working who are not documented, they are exploited by the workers. But they are exploited by the employers. This then weakens the workers' struggle, as the employer will prefer an undocumented migrant for exploitation purposes. And we have seen an increase in the number of ZEP holders taking their employers to CCMA because they demand better working conditions and better wages. So our appeal is that the South African government should renew the Zimbabwe exemption permits. And all of us must work together in our communities as demonstrated in Diepsloot in the meeting that we attended. That we must fight crime. We must isolate criminal gangs in our communities. As we were explaining in the meeting in Diepsloot, that we are all victims of crime. I myself, I've been a victim of criminality. I was held twice in Hillbrow at gunpoint. In 2018, I was attacked. When we were distributing pamphlets for a voter education, it was just ahead of the Zimbabwe election. So we're busy distributing pamphlets, encouraging Zimbabweans in South Africa to go and register and vote. While we're doing that in Yeoville, I was attacked, my phone was taken. I was attacked some years back in Bakio at gunpoint. I left my home to go to the shops to buy meat. I slept hungry because they pointed a gun at me just next to the Bakio shopping center. They took all the money that I had. So we're all victims of crime. There are many Zimbabweans that have been buried in Zimbabwe who have died in the hands of criminals. So crime affects all of us. And it is more problematic when a crime is committed by a person who's not documented, because we can't trace the person who's not documented. Their fingerprints are not in the system. But a ZEP holder, their fingerprints are in the system. A person that is on Aslam document, their fingerprints are in the system, including those that have been declared refugees and so forth. So this is why we are calling on the South African government to reconsider its position. And we are saying it should reconsider its position because it's becoming clear that in terms of the Immigration Act, that the majority of ZEP, as we said earlier on, they will not qualify. We have been talking to the Department of Home Affairs to say, please, how does a domestic worker, a person in the low skill, apply for a waiver? Up to now, it's now 2 weeks. There's no answer. And you'll remember when we reported to that, we spoke to some officials, we said in terms of the Immigration Act, it is very clear that people do not qualify. So it is on this basis that we call on the South African government to say, already you have less than 178,000 Zimbabweans on special permits. And you just have to renew. That's our plea. That let's renew those permits. Then we deal with the people that are not documented, because it is a big issue in communities. Criminality is a big issue. And more so if it is committed by an undocumented person that you cannot trace. But if it is committed by a ZEP holder, it is easy to trace because their fingerprints are there in the system. Please like this video. Write your comments in the comment section. I know I know some are saying, Comrade Mabeno, you're obsessed with South Africa. We'll discuss that some other day. Please subscribe to this YouTube channel. Otherwise, goodbye.